We've been on an adventure for the last 6 days, and my buddy Nate brought his Land Rover Discovery on this trip, and I have been really surprised, pleasantly surprised on how capable and how well this thing has performed. And so I think this might be the most underrated off-road vehicle out there that you may want to consider if you're looking for a new vehicle. And in this video, we're going to talk with my buddy Nate, we're going to walk around, and we're going to take a look at it. I think you're going to be really impressed with it. Stay tuned. Welcome to TrailRecon. I'm Brad, and I'm here with my good buddy Nate from Dirt Lifestyle, and we have been on a 6-day adventure, just having a blast.
It's been outstanding.
It's been awesome, and we're here at camp right now, and I told him, I was like, man, I have been so impressed with this thing, pleasantly surprised at just how capable this vehicle is. I wanted to do a walk around at camp and share it with you. I think you guys will be totally surprised. Nate, before we talk about the vehicle, man, what do you think about this trip so far?
The trip is outstanding.
Yeah.
I don't have very many friends where I live to do just like a 6-day expedition.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're going full nomad style, different camp every night, different zip code, different area of the state.
Right.
And seeing all the different sites we've seen and just having the experiences we've had has been, I mean, it's like a bucket list thing. It has been a great initiation for me to get into this whole overland space.
Yeah, well, man, it's been awesome wheeling with you and watching this thing. Now, look, I took a little bit of a vacation this trip, and I didn't film the adventure, so if you want to see that adventure, you need to go subscribe and watch Dirt Lifestyle. He's got the full thing over there. But today what we're going to do, dude, is I want to take a deep dive into your vehicle. So let's talk about the bones of this one, and then we'll get into the modifications of it. What's the foundation of this vehicle?
This is a 2003 Land Rover Discovery. It's got 200,000 miles on it, so it's gently used.
Gently.
And I've had it for about a year.
Okay.
It's got a 4.6 liter V8. It has, you know, just automatic transmission. That's all they offered in the United States.
Right.
And supposedly a rock solid transfer case. And I have had zero issues with this T case so far.
Yeah. And look, how much did you pay for this?
I paid, it was around $5,000.
$5,000.
Lifted.
And you sort of already had some of the stuff that we'll talk about.
Yep.
But look, for $5,000, you got an off-road vehicle that has solid axles, some really cool suspension components that I was very surprised to find out it has, which we will talk about. And it's got some luxury items interior.
Oh yeah,
right?
It's very nice on the inside. It originally had 7 seats before I started doing the modifications to it. 2 sunroofs, V8. I mean, there's a lot of really cool little things that come for that $5,000 for sure.
And this thing really tore it up on the trail, and you've already done some really cool things to it, and you've got some plans to do some more stuff.
Oh yeah, big plans.
Let's just dive in and talk about what's already been done to this thing, and then we'll just talk about what the future finds. So let's start up front here. What do we got up front?
We've got a super winch. This is a Tiger Shark. It's like an 11,500 pound rated winch, and I don't have to use it very often because I've had to use it a couple times in really deep mud. Okay. But like this trip, I was expecting to use it a bunch, and luckily, you know, it's dry in Southern California, and there were a couple
times where we got close.
Oh, we got close. the Rover has been making it through.
Yeah.
And then I've got these Baja Designs lights. I've always liked yellow, especially on European vehicles. It just feels Euro when you have yellow fog lights.
Well, I'll say when we were in there's some dusty roads.
Very dusty.
Baby powder dusty. Yeah. And you had those on, I looked back, it was very easy to see you. So it's nice having the ambers.
I agree, yeah, definitely. This front bumper was built by the previous owner. There's some things the previous owner did that are awesome. I think this front bumper is a good example of that. There are other things that we'll get into that weren't near as bulletproof.
Yeah.
But this was built by the previous owner. It's a really nice style. So eventually I will probably build my own on the channel, but for now I think it looks good and it's functional.
Yeah, it's tucked up really nice and tight, and you did have to cut the grill here to get the winch in.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's really clean. I mean, it's not sticking far out, which helps with your approach angle for sure.
Big time, it really does.
Yeah. Now, under the hood, any modifications to the motor or anything?
The motor is bone stock. Okay. There's nothing crazy, even stock intake, everything.
Yeah.
So it's a high miles, 4.6 liter V8.
Yeah. Any plans to do anything to it?
I'm really torn. I'm a diesel guy. Yeah. Any of you guys who watch my channel know I'm a huge diesel guy. So I would love to do a diesel swap in this, but I'm not hating this V8, to be honest with you. It's got a Tiki lifter, and an exhaust leak. But if I fix those two things, I might just rock this V8 for a while because it has power where I need it. We measured the fuel economy at about 16 mpg, which is like
way off the charts.
Way better, yeah. I thought an old V8 would get like 10, especially modified like this. So, I think that maybe it'll get a camshaft and just fix some of the noise that I'm hearing. But other than that, I might just keep the V8.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go to the side. Let's talk about the really cool suspension that's on this.
Sounds good.
Okay, so when we set out on this expedition, day 2 was supposed to be a momentary stop just to camp overnight on our way up to Poker Flats because it was a pretty long drive. And you and I were like, hey, we can just go hit half the Rubicon and camp at the top of Cadillac Hill because it's just an easy drive out there.
Yeah.
That didn't end up being the case. It was not how I remembered it about 3 years ago.
Yeah, we both were there about 3 years ago. Yeah. It's gotten a little bit, the easy section is a little bit more like the rest of it.
Right.
And so, we had quite the surprise.
And this thing, man, it managed it well. The vehicle and the driver, now,
Thank you.
You did a lot of great driving, but I was standing back and watching this thing, I'm like, are you kidding me? It just went through that? And so I think there's really some cool stuff to talk about on the tires and suspension on what's set up here, because most of this is not modified.
Yeah, a lot of this is stock. So the suspension is stock with a taller spring and a better shock. That is it. It has the stock radius arms that come with this. It's OEM, it's basically a radius arm, long arm in stock form. So this has the stock control arms. It's got 32-inch tires. It has no lockers. It's just open differential front and rear. It does have a transfer case lock. So there's a differential in the transfer case because most of the time it's all-wheel drive. You can lock it up when you're off-road and make it true four-wheel drive. And that's the only mod. So it was able to get over all these obstacles because it has a really early version of traction control that works really good.
It does.
And so even though it was open differential front and rear, the computer could sense that a wheel was slipping here or there, and it would just apply brakes and make the other one spin, and it was just slowly working its way over the terrain.
Yeah, it did really good. Now, I was looking at these long arm control arms. I'm like, holy cow, man, those are stock.
Yeah, they're stock, and they're like cast steel. They're these giant cast steel, really long. So what's nice is you can lift it. This is either a 4 or 6-inch lift. I don't know because I didn't put it on. But you can lift it that much and I've got no death wobble, no nothing, because at factory it has this nice long arm. So this radius, it gives you a lot of flexibility on what you can do with it in stock form.
Yeah. Brakes are stock?
Brakes are stock.
Okay, what gearing is in there, do you know?
It's the factory gearing, and they only came with one gear set in the United States, but I don't remember what it was. It's like a 307 or a 320 something. It's something like that.
Okay, and with the axle housing, do we know what that's called?
As far as the brand of the axle housing? Yeah. Just Land Rover. I don't know.
It's not like a Dana 44.
No. It's a Land Rover built. At least I believe it's a Land Rover built. It looks just like a Toyota axle, where the center section loads in from the rear into the housing, and then has like Burfield style joints on the outside. So it's very similar to Toyota or Nissan.
There's somebody out there that knows what it's called.
I'm sure. Probably they're yelling. They're yelling at the computer.
Yeah, I know they are. Now they're not going to stay though. You're going to upgrade these soon. What do you got planned for it?
So I'm doing a 1-ton swap, and originally, a lot of people thought that was nuts, but this thing weighs a ton, and hence ton. It's gonna, once it's all done and outfitted completely, it's gonna be really similar to the weight of an F350. So I got F350 axles. It's gonna be going on a set of 37s, 37-inch BFG KM3s, and I'll do lockers and stuff at that time. I want to do whatever it takes to maintain this traction control system because I really like how usable it is, and I think a lot of situations I could just use the factory traction control. And then whenever it gets real hairy, I'll just flip on the lockers. So that's the long-term goal.
Yeah, awesome. Now, you mentioned 32-inch tires. These are BFG all-terrains.
Yep, they're KO2s.
KO2s. I've run these tires before, and I actually have them on my son's Jeep. I love these tires for where I'm at.
Yeah.
Because they're great in the desert. They're quiet on the road. These aren't staying on this vehicle, though.
They're not. No, I'm going to a mud terrain because of where I live. You know, I didn't have a lot of faith in these tires because where I live is just constant mud, and these aren't the best mud tire, but coming down here and wheeling with you for a week, I completely changed my view. These are really, really good tires because it's an E-rated tire. It's still a really good ride quality. I'm aired down and there's no rips in the sidewalls, there's no cracking, and it has had no problem with traction. I've really been impressed with these. So a lot of people were critical of me when I said that I didn't like these, and you guys were right, 100%. These are actually really good.
Yeah. And then what wheels do you have on here?
These are KMCs. I don't know the model. I get asked that a lot because a lot of other Rover guys are interested in these. This has a wheel spacer adapter to push it out and make it to where it's a more modern bolt pattern.
Okay.
But yeah, they're KMC wheels.
And those aren't staying either.
They're not staying. No, the new wheels are from a company called Mamba. I already have the wheels and tires at home waiting. Once we get back from this trip, all the suspension axles, all this stuff's coming out. It's going on jack stands, and I will be building the suspension from scratch and the axles from scratch and putting it all on here.
Okay. Now, we talked briefly beadlocks versus a conventional wheel. You're going with the conventional wheel.
I'm going to go with the conventional wheel. I have beadlocks on my hardcore wheeler, but because this has so much more road miles and stuff like that, there are some places where they enforce that it's not a DOT rated wheel, and I just decided to run a non-beadlock wheel. I've had no issues with, I'm aired down to like 12 in the front right now and 14 in the rear. It's really soft. There's plenty of flex in the tire, and I think I'll just go somewhere around that with the 37s, and I should be good.
Yeah, this is going to be a beast on 1-tons and
yeah.
37s.
I can't wait.
Okay, let's go hop to the side. Let's talk about some of the projects you've currently worked on, and we'll take a look at your tent, some other stuff.
Sounds good.
Okay, now is where we start to really get into some of the Overland stuff, and you have done a lot of great customized things to this that, man, I've been enjoying watching you build on your channel, which has been totally cool.
Thanks, man.
And first of all, let me just say, you do an awesome job of filming, your builds, man. If you guys haven't seen them, you definitely got to check it out. I can't sell that enough, dude. Your audio, your video, it's just like, I love it. Anyway, okay.
My head's getting so big, I can't fit this hat on.
All right, let's start from the top down.
Okay.
Let's talk about the tent. What tent is this?
This is a Hills Off-Road Gear rooftop tent. It's their bigger sized version. I wanted a pretty good sized rooftop tent because I've got a family of 4 and I want to be able to fit them all in there.
Yeah.
My kids are real young now, but here in the next year or so, we're going to be packing the whole family up there. And so far it's been great. I really wanted a hard shell rooftop tent because of durability. The places I go, this week is a good example. When you're around a lot of trees and stuff, you don't want that branch to just dig into a soft shell. So I decided to go with a hard shell on this one, and so far no regrets. It's been really, really working good.
Setup and breakdown has been pretty fast for you.
Yeah, pretty quick, definitely.
How do you like the mattress?
The mattress is okay. The mattress, it's one of those things where you don't want a whole lot of weight in your tent when you sell it. You don't want things to be too tall because then you can't keep a blanket in there and whatnot. So I think that they did the best what they could with the 2 inches they had. So I'm sleeping directly on the mattress. I haven't put a foam topper or anything on it yet. Long term, I definitely will. My wife likes a softer mattress, and I'm a meathead. I could sleep on the ground, so right. It's pretty comfortable for me, and I've been sleeping much better than I used to in a ground tent. There's no doubt about it.
For sure. You keep all your sleeping gear in there?
Yeah, I'm keeping everything but the pillow right now.
Okay.
I'm like slowly adding little by little and seeing what'll still close.
Okay.
This week has been a really big test gear week for me, and really putting this gear, like the rooftop tent, through its paces and figuring out a system.
Right. Do you know the weight of the tent?
He told me it was around 150, so somewhere in that
That's not bad.
ballpark.
That's
No.
pretty good.
Yeah.
And now that weight has to go somewhere.
Yep.
And you have built an amazing and durable roof rack, man. Talk to us about this rack system.
So, like everything I build on my channel, I have kind of a rough detail in my head. I don't really draw anything out because I just like to keep the creative juices flowing. So I saw 4 big lights in the front. I saw some sort of a rim over the light. And then I wanted it to be low profile because all the other Discovery racks I had seen are super tall because it has a rear sunroof. But if you've got a giant rooftop tent over it, you don't really need to use the sunroof. So the way I did it is I made it super low profile in the back, and because of the roof line of the Disco, it made it to where I can still use the front sunroof, which is awesome, and I lowered it down to keep things looking a little more reasonable because I don't like that really tall roof rack look, and I did everything I could building this to stay away from that.
Yeah, totally stable on this trip. I mean, if there was an opportunity for any weakness to show, it would have been on this trip,
definitely,
right?
Yeah.
I think it's awesome, man. It just looks good, dude. You did such a great job with it.
Thank you.
Now you do have some lights up front.
Yep, Baja Designs. I think they're LP6s. I'm not the go-to guy when it comes to lighting and stuff, but I know this came with some lights on it and a really poorly crafted roof rack. And you could tell a big difference between the $10 Amazon light and a really nice high-end light. The light spectrum is way different, and the amount of clarity whenever you're trying to drive through dark woods is just substantially better.
Yeah, well, it looks great. Okay, I want to talk about this at last because I think this is the coolest, but let's talk about the rock sliders, which got a lot of use. But but let me preface this by you didn't build these rock sliders.
I didn't build these. I think the guy that built them did a good job building a step. And the way he mounted them to the body is really good. Like I said, he was I didn't get to meet the guy that built this stuff, but he's clearly a good craftsman. Yeah. But he was not planning on taking rock sliders through half of the Rubicon. Right. And that's where I did all the damage on these. Yeah. It was just a lot of putting the whole thing on its side and just slowly turning them into bananas. And, you know, so the plan is I'm going to be cutting off the step portion and building my own design in the shop and making it look a little bit more off-road and definitely adding to the durability.
Cool. I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with. All right, now, one of the coolest things on the vehicle, which you have on both sides, and you just recently did this.
Yep.
Is this, there used to be a window here, and there's not anymore.
Yes.
What do we got?
These are gold wing windows. I've got a video on how I made them. Relatively simple. This is just a chunk of 1/4-inch aluminum. I ordered a bunch of stuff off Amazon and just figured out a way to make it work. I've seen these used in a lot of European vehicles and like Australian, but they're so rare to see them in the United States. I just decided to take a shot and build them. So you get rid of the glass. You put a piece of aluminum here. Just put a just hinge system with a gas-charged strut, and now I have access to some extra gear on the inside.
Yeah, and both sides, man, and looking in there, it's like easy storage. I mean, you got a little battery here, right?
Yep.
So you got power for your vehicle.
Yep.
Easy access to your first aid kit.
Yep.
I mean, it's super convenient, and it seals really well. No dust is getting in or anything like that.
And I've been checking the seal as we've been going on the trip, and you can see a bunch of dust around the outside, but it's completely clean where it presses up into the inside of the window. Yeah. I haven't heard any wind, anything, so I've been very happy to see that it's sealing, because that is a concern of mine when I was building it.
Yeah, I love it. Great use of your space, man. And talking about a great use of your space, you have done a great job in the back. And let's take these guys over and show them your setup in the rear.
Sounds good.
All right, Nate, I got to tell you, I love this setup. And there are some things I've personally been like, oh, I might borrow that, dude. For a guy that's new to the overlanding community, you did a great job with this whole setup. Let's talk about the back, and then we'll talk about the tailgate. What have you done back here?
Yeah, so I wanted to have a place that would very tightly store my fridge with a slide. I've seen a lot of people that have slides in their fridge, and I thought it was a great idea. I wanted to build something. I didn't want to use a universal slide, so I wanted to build something custom. So I built a slide that perfectly fits the dimensions of the fridge, give myself about 1 inch all the way around for everything to breathe and move and hinges and all that other stuff.
What size fridge we got?
This is a 75 liter.
Wow.
It's big.
That is big, boy.
Yeah, it's big. It's a ARB0 fridge. It's a newer fridge from what I understand. And it's got a fridge and a freezer, which is just mind-blowing. It's so cool that you can that stuff these days is available like that. So yeah, so far the fridge has worked really well. There are things I like and things I don't like. I love the fridge, and the slide does work, but after this trip, I am definitely going to add some latches to this because it does want to slide out if I'm on an incline or anything like that. So everything is functioning well, but it could be better with some latches to make sure it stays in there whenever I open this on a hill or something like that.
Now you built the tray out of aluminum?
Yep, built the tray out of aluminum.
And what weight rated do we have for the sliders?
The sliders are 300 pound.
Okay, good.
So,
plenty.
Yep, should be plenty. So far I have had no issues with that. It's just been the fact that it wants to come out at me. Actually, so the slides, they do have, it's supposed to like retain itself when it's all the way in there.
Yeah.
But I think with like going on the Rubicon and all that other stuff, it's made it to where those don't work as well as they probably would have if it was in a normal application.
Yeah. Well, it's a good trip to test your gear.
No doubt.
Now, the whole shelving system, what did you use to build this with?
This is at a 3/4 inch MDF. Okay. It's a heavier wood, so it's not something that's good for every build, but this has a pretty good payload in the rear. Because it used to have 2 seats back here so you could carry extra people. And I have worked with MDF a lot before in the past, and so I just decided to go with what I know. It's a hard wood, it's very straight, and it's very strong. So, and one nice added benefit that I didn't realize was going to be until I put all this in there was it is super quiet coming out of the back now. You don't hear like exhaust notes or anything because this is just like a speaker box. It keeps all the sound on this side.
Well, you did a great job with the carpet, and I like how you just kind of close it all in, keep it nice and clean. It looks good. What's in the drawer?
Everything. I got this done like the day before I came out here to hang out with Brad and do this trip, and it was like I don't like everything drawers,
Yeah.
but for now it's an everything drawer, and after using it for a week, I have an idea of how to maybe section things off and organize. But right now it's like I've got my cooking and cleaning stuff, I've got seasonings, and you know, my my stove and everything stays in there. So
yeah, it's a never-ending process. You're always going to be like fine-tuning
for
stuff.
sure.
But you did a great job, and I like the little hooks here with the net because that makes it easy to get to your bags and stuff like that. But it keeps them secure. So.
Yeah, and the idea was that if I'm on a hill or anything, I open the door, I don't have all of my gear coming out at me. So
yeah, it's a great touch, man. You did a great job back here, and I personally love what you did here with this tailgate table. So let's talk through this for a minute. How did you? What was the idea behind this?
Well, this is one of the things that didn't come with the Rover. There was no like rear panel, and it was just like a blank, ugly space.
Yeah.
And with the tailgate kitchen, I do a lot of thinking while I'm driving, and this is something that took me a few weeks of thinking, like, what's a simple, slim way, a light way to make a functional kitchen that just hangs right on the door. And I wanted to use common stuff, so I just used some 3/16 aluminum, which is available at any metal yard, and then everything else, all the hardware, the stove top, all that other stuff, the latches, all the hardware is available on Amazon, so anybody can do this, and I have a whole video on how I did it on my channel.
Yeah, well, it looks great, man, and I love how you integrated the stove and you know,
the bear bottle opener.
He's awesome, dude. That's great. You did a great job with this. The paper towel holder, even the little flashlight mount is a really cool touch, dude. You have a great setup here, man. But I know you're gonna continue to tweak it a little bit. But
oh yeah, always.
Awesome, man. Dude, I love it.
Me too.
Okay, before we hop in the interior, I want to talk about your bumper and what you've got going on back here. But first, tell me about your water setup. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, the water setup is it's new to me. It's something that I just discovered. It's a very new company called Jolka, I believe. They're out of Australia. And it's this tub that holds the hot water tank. It holds everything in it. And then whenever you unload it all, it turns into a great place to do dishes. It's instant hot water for taking a shower. And it's on demand, meaning that it's not like a finite amount of hot water. Like we could all shower on a propane bottle and we would never have to worry about it like regenerating and reheating or anything like that.
Right. Speaking of showers, it's been 6 days. I might need one here.
I'm gonna have to have one.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the bumper tire carrier. What do you got?
The bumper, it was something else. It was built by the last guy. He did a great job engineering this whole thing to where it opens as one unit. I'm going to change it because some of my needs are a little bit different. I want to shorten it so I can get my departure angle a little bit more in check. But it's strong enough to hold the spare tire. I've got extra fuel in this Titan fuel tank.
How much fuel do we hold in that?
This holds like 12 or 14. It holds a lot of fuel.
That's a lot of fuel.
Yeah, and I haven't even needed to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that I was going to be going longer stretches between fill-ups, but we'll see. I like that it's here. I think that it's a really ingenious way of storing fuel, but we'll see if I end up keeping it long term. I might just build a little bit bigger fuel tank or something.
Yeah, it is a lot of weight to put back here.
A lot of weight.
Yeah, and then tucked back behind there, you've got a CO2 tank?
I've got a CO2 tank that I have just kind of wedged in there, and that's how I've been refilling the tires up for this whole trip. So far, it hasn't ran out.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're only a 32-inch tire, so I think I'll be all right. So I've got 3 CO2 tanks. I like CO2. Long term, this will be CO2 with a 12-volt backup because I think that it's always a good idea to have a backup
100%.
way to air up.
100%. Okay, let's hop in the interior and take a look at this old Land Rover.
Sounds good.
All right, Nate, one of the cool things about having a Land Rover, even from 2003, man, you've got some really nice luxury amenities that come standard with this. Talk us through what's here and then some of the mods you've done to it.
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of leather, and this had a leather interior, which drew me to it very quickly. It also has dual functioning sunroofs, which there's no other vehicles that had that in 2003. It's crazy. Heated seats, hill descent control, there's a bunch of different buttons and features and stuff. Of course, cruise control, AC, and all that stuff still works. Everything still works in here. It's still very comfortable, and I think it's holding up really well for being a 20-year-old rig.
Yeah. Now, what are you doing for navigation? What do you got for the setup there?
This is a budget navigation system. Sometimes I like to explore the budget side of things before I go and buy the expensive version. And so this is all just built on Amazon. It's an inexpensive tablet, case, mount, everything all together with the navigation software was less than $200. So it's been doing the job. I don't know how it compares to like an iPad or something like that, but for this trip, I've been pretty happy with it.
Okay, any plans to do anything else in the inside here?
Man, I might add some lighting for like some of the cargo areas, but other than that, I'm really happy with the interior. If the AC stops working, then I'll replace the pump or whatever I need to do to fix it. But other than that, I like it.
Yeah, 1,200 miles we've done so far on this trip. It's been a pretty comfortable ride.
Oh yeah, very comfortable. Surprisingly comfortable.
Yeah, well, it's awesome, dude. I love it. I think, you know what? I'm a little jealous of some of the creature comforts, even though it's an older vehicle.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
Okay, I got a couple questions for you before we wrap this up. What has been your favorite trail you've taken this thing on so far?
Favorite trail I've taken it on has got to be that chunk of the Rubicon we did on this trip. I've done some wheeling in this before locally, but you can't. There's no substitution for the Rubicon.
Yeah, we didn't do the whole thing, but that little section
we
was
did the
pretty
section
fun.
we could do.
Yeah, and what a great place to camp.
Oh, it was amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, bucket list trail to take this rig.
Elephant Trail.
Oh, yeah.
I've said this on camera before. I hate even disclosing how much I like that trail because I don't want it to be populated. But that is one of my favorites, and it's a nice overlanding spot.
Awesome. Favorite upgrade that you've done on this thing?
So far, it would probably be the storage area. Having a way to catalog all of your camping gear is huge.
Yeah.
And trying to keep things organized, that is probably my favorite mod so far.
Okay, and your next mod, you mentioned it, but what are you doing when you get home?
1 tons. 1 tons, lockers. I'm going to design my own suspension from scratch, really increase the stability on this thing and the ride quality.
Okay, last question. Stickiest situation you've been in this vehicle?
That would be the Rubicon. It was for no lockers, that was a lot, but we were able to push our rigs through, even though we had all this weight and you had a trailer, and it was a sticky situation, but we all had a great time. We made it out without breaking anything.
Yeah, dude, we've had a blast. Guys, please go over to Dirt Lifestyle, subscribe, and stand by for that video. You're going to love the adventure. We had a blast, and we're not done. We still have today and tomorrow to wrap this up, and we're going to take you to go see some pretty cool scenery after we're done here.
I can't wait to see it and film it.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hope you now have a new perspective on the Land Rover Discovery. I know I do personally. I think it's a very cool off-road vehicle, and I think it's a little underrated. If you're visiting TrailRecon for the first time, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to have you as a member of the TrailRecon team. Thanks for watching.